Hello, everyone. Welcome to Gulfstream today, live from at home. Brian and I in our houses. We hope that you all are staying safe. Very good chance I'll have a cat photo bomb sometime throughout today's videos. But Brian, nice to see you virtually, and we'll talk about today's Wednesday card.
Yeah, you as well, Acacia. And it's a solid 10 race card, too. So looking forward to it. Scratches are out and didn't really affect either of our plays. I always enjoy that as well. We don't have to go scrambling or anything. So what you see is what you get today.
Yeah, very nice to have that and not have to worry about changing things around. We will give you some multi-race wagers today. We are fast, firm, and the Tapeta is all weather. So we have all three tracks in play this afternoon. We do kick things off on that Tapeta in the first race as we'll go through the card. This one is about a mile and a 16th in this dated claimer, 16,000 horses who have not won a race since June 29th of 2021. Not an easy way to kick off the early pick five, Brian.
Yeah, I've got a $16 sequence. I will say I'm a lot more confident in this one than the late one, which is, I know you were talking about your rainbow, is really somewhat problematic. So it's a $16 play. Spreads in the first and the last. It looks like this: 1, 2, 3, 4 in race one. We go the single in race two with Wicked Temptation, which is my best bet of the day. 2, 6 in race three in that order. Prudent Song on top should be a pretty heavy favorite in that race. Another single in race four, which is North Carolina, who could be a strong favorite as well. And then I spread in the fifth race. 1, 2, 3, 4. The actual top pick is Harry's on the Loose, the 3. So that's a $16 ticket. I don't think this, as I alluded to, you have to go as deep in this early one as we will talk about in the later one.
I like it. North Carolina, my best bet of the day as well. We'll get to that race in a little bit, but you and I both a little bit more towards the inside in this first race. Talk to me about Outshine dropping in class for Dan Pita.
Well, yeah, that's it. And Dan Peter's already got a couple of wins at the meet. And you mentioned was in for 35 and now gets to play for 16. And he ran well for 35, Acacia. Was third and was fourth. So, maybe this is just a level to try to get him a win. And I think dropping down, he's going to be tough to handle against a group like this.
I went to the number one Philo, who I don't necessarily love, but two starts back did run well on the Tapeta in finishing second. And one thing that I think is intriguing with these dated claimers is this one actually fits the condition really snugly. His last win was in May, and at least that's a little bit more recent than some of the others that he faces in here. And I think the outside post really hurt him last time out, so hoping he gets a little bit of a better trip today.
Yeah, I mean, that's what sticks out to me. You look at the post last time, 12 of 12. He's just marooned out there. It's really problematic. So now he goes from the worst to theoretically the best. And I agree. He's got a win showing at least. And he's been in good form too. And now with a better post, he should be right there.
And then you have Parlor stretching out for Dave Fox, who was kind of the king of the Tapeta at the start of the season. We go to the main track for race two. This one going a mile, $12,500 claiming race. Non-winners of 3 in life. What did you like here?
Yeah, I mentioned Wicked Temptations, my best bet of the day. The order's 2, 4, 6, 5. And I just think that race really stands out last time. Now, yes, maybe he regresses because it was a little bit better than anything he's ever done, but he's just really been in really good form of late, too. And then you look at the rest of this field, and a lot of these runners, okay, should come in off real duds. And I don't think you have to worry about him. I mean, he even ran okay on the Tapeta back. So I think if he can get back to that race last time, he wins. I don't even know if he has to get back to that race to beat this field. So my best bet of the day, 3-1 on the morning line, Wicked Temptations, my pick 5 single too.
I was tough on him. I was really concerned about the distance for him. His 2-mile races, I know that the mile at GPW was a 2-turn mile race, but even the mile race back in March showed some speed and then just completely stopped. So the distance was a bit of a question for me. I went to Brett's World, who I thought could be the speed of the speed in here, first off the claim for Kelsey Danner. Class, perhaps, a little bit of a class drop versus what he faced last time out. Again, I agree with you. You don't really trust anybody in this field, but at least I know he had a win at the distance.
Yeah, and I like when a solid trainer like Kelsey claims a horse and it's not really their MO, and you look down and it's a very small sample, 13 horses, but that to me says she's 4 for 13 off the claim. So when barns that aren't really, this isn't their MO, they reach in and says to me, they really like a horse. He's one of the ones that I mentioned really comes in off a dud, and so that's where I was a little leery. But yeah, I had this one at second myself.
On the Tapeta for race 3, about 5.5 furlongs, and a nice maiden special weight for the fillies, 3 and up here. And the number 2, Prudent Song, has been right there at Monmouth in the last couple, looking to break through.
Yeah, and they were all on turf. So, it gives you a little bit of a good feeling trying the Tapeta. It's, we've talked about this many times. It's not the end all be all, but, if they handle turf, you'd like to think they can get over the Tapeta. Paco lands here. I think this is a very, very likely winner as long as she doesn't completely hate the Tapeta. So I did put her on top. I didn't single her, though. I also used the 6 funny enough. So, I think that's maybe as a little back, just in case, a little backup.
The number 4, Stuck on Kitten, was where I landed, who she ran on the Tapeta last time. She's stepping up in class. I didn't think she met any world beaters in here, and typically I don't like horses like this that are stepping up to maiden special weight after being beaten for maiden claiming, and it's not easy to claim off of Safi, but it was off of a layoff. Jose D'Angelo is really sharp claiming horses, particularly with ones that fit on the Tapeta. She has speed. The blinkers go on. There are some questions, but I felt she might be one who could fly under the radar a little bit, and maybe we might see some of the other ones, perhaps like Prudent Song with that big buyer speed figure last time, be a little bit of an underlay.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I have her in third, and I think she's the wild card because she's run over the Tapeta. Now she goes for a 24% barn claim off the claim. Luis Saez is here, and I'm sure you saw these stats with blinkers. They're not huge samples, but Jose, who's pulling all the right strings at the meet so far, it's a small sample, but he's 4 for 11 with first-time blinkers, and I think that's 6 for 16 with blinkers on. So these are big stats. And maybe, I always think when you have a sharp barn like this, they probably said, you know what, I saw that race or I've seen this horse and I'd like to put the hood on her. And so the equipment change goes on right away. So she's very eligible to run big today. And I have her in the loop too.
Race 4 is a 1.375 on turf. I know we're in agreement here. This is a really exciting maiden special weight. I like these races where you get a chance to see these young horses go a distance of ground. And Barkley Tag has North Carolina, who I just thought looked like the controlling speed in this race.
Yeah, I think the two things. He's the controlling speed. He's also the best horse. And when you put them together, that's really problematic for the rest of these. And the rest of these, it's a lot like the H. Allen Jerkins the other day. Not only are the rest of these void of speed, I mean, they don't have an inch of speed whatsoever. And we saw Aban, just lope along out there, and they're going a 1.375 in this race. And Luis Saez is just going to put North Carolina on the lead. And he just, on paper, he's going to gallop these into the ground. I mean, because no one else in here, I think the 2 Clement runners, and I know you can talk about them a little bit, Mega Yacht and Warren, who I've got underneath, I think they have a lot of upside and they could develop into, nice horses for a patient barn. But today, with this flow, a lot of these horses are up against it.
You have some nice pedigrees in here, too. You mentioned Mega Yacht, who we both had second. This one ran a good second, going 1.25 miles off the layoff last time. He's half to Fast Boat, who was a really good turf sprinter. You do have Tonalist on the top side, and it seemed like the barn was really keen to get him going the distance, and even off the layoff, and he's only run twice as a 3-year-old, but his race last time was such a big step in the right direction. The other one, Warren, I remember my notes from his debut said that he wants to run all day. The layoff is a bit of a question, and he doesn't have any speed at all.
Yeah, exactly. The other one I used underneath, at least, is I think Daddy Frank is a little bit interesting. We've talked briefly about Jorge Abreu, excuse me. And, if you're not familiar with him, he's a solid turf barn in New York. So he's going to probably bring a few turf runners down that are ready to roll. This one goes second off the Euro layoff, second time Lasix as well. So Daddy Frank could improve too. But I just think they're all at the mercy of the pace. North Carolina, your best bet of the day, you said, right?
Barkley Tag, whose horses have really been running this meet too down here in South Florida. We go back to the Tapeta, about 5.5 furlongs in the 5th race in a starter allowance. I had a tough time with this one about who may potentially handle the surface. I know you said you like Harry's on the Loose. We go back to the Tapeta for race 5, about 5.5 furlongs in the starter allowance. It is where we start the Rainbow Six. In tribute to Ron Nicoletti, I am sorry it's not 43.20, 28.80 today. I'm 3 deep in the first leg. I had a really tough time just with this whole sequence in general. I agree with you. I wish like the 4th race and I could single North Carolina was in the sequence. I've got 2 horses preferring some class droppers and horses that have shown an affinity for the Tapeta in the 6th race. In the 7th, I wanted a little coverage. I'm interested in the first-time starters from Chad Brown and Shug McGahee, but it looks like some talented runners in that maiden special weight. In the 8th race, I thought that we could see Blame It on Rose and Leviosa potentially get the best trips. To the outside, race 9, I've got a couple horses, but that was really tough. I don't know if TikTok Famous is necessarily the best horse in the race, but I do think she'll get the best trip. And in the nightcap, we wrap up with another nice maiden special weight. I nearly singled Ambitus for Grand Motion, who I think will take a big step forward, but did not want to leave out Chad Brown. So I used that one backing up as well for 28.80.
Yeah, it sounds like you and I are pretty well aligned in this sequence. It is not easy, as you mentioned. I went with Harry's on the Loose here in race 5. It's 3-1-4-2. So those are my top 4. And if I was getting involved with this Rainbow, I'd want to spread too. I just think Harry's on the Loose, best overall form here, especially of late. Done a really good job. Elizabeth Doble, since she claimed him, he's just kept his form all the way through. And I just think, he shows a good Tapeta race 2 back. So I think that's beneficial too. And he won't be too far out of it either.
I took a stab with the number 5, the Connector, for Mike Deeney, who's we've been kind of waiting to see the barn breakthrough with the horses that he has here in Florida. But I thought his Tapeta race, or synthetic race at least, at Presque Isle a couple back was actually pretty good against some decent company. I know he was the short price that day, but was coming in after a stakes place finish behind Belgrano, who's also in here and who has the best buyer speed figures. Belgrano was so disappointing in the claiming crown last time, though, and you wonder if he can kind of turn things around as he changes surfaces today.
I totally agree, Acacia. And now he's trying to Tapeta in here, and it's I don't know. I don't really trust him. I've got him, further down in my mix, and I'd probably want him on a spread Rainbow. But you said it perfectly. Yeah, he was wide last time, but he just didn't fire. I don't know if he got run off his feet going 5 or what, but I think he's got some question marks to answer today, and I'm a little leery of him, especially at another underlaid price for Paco riding.
We stay on the Tapeta for race 5, about a mile and a 16th, $12,500 claiming race, non-winners of 3 in life, and this kicks off the late pick 5.
Yeah, and this is a $40 ticket for me. It's not the confidence I had in the first one. So 1-2-5-6 is a spread here. I do have a single. You alluded to confidence interval for the Chad and Seth Klarman first. So I'm just going to hope that horse can run and is ready. You already talked about Leviosa, and I went with 21 short as well in that race. A deep spread in race 9 where I have no opinion, but Isabella Ada is adorable. Ada is my long shot play of the day, which I struggled to come up with. I will say that. And I'm right with you in the 10th, both Chad and Graham, Ambitus and Beachfront Bid. So we'll live or die together, I guess.
Hopefully they help us out there in the nightcap. A tough way to kick it off too in the 6th race here. First leg of the late pick 5. You, I believe, go to the 2 Easy Stride.
Yeah, I did. Easy Stride with Paco aboard. I just think, that the race 2 back says steadied early. Let's just draw a line through that race, and the overall body of work, 4-year-old son Street Sense is it's as good as anybody here. And as you can see on my ticket, it's 1-2-5-6. It's a spread kind of race. And you know what? I'll take Paco over the rest if I've got to draw the line somewhere.
I took a shot to the outside with Grr, who's the best name that I've seen in a while. I know Pete Aiello has fun with that one, but second last time out when stepping up from that non-winners of 2 condition, has really shown an affinity for the Tapeta in his last couple starts and has some tactical speed to the outside. So hoping he could keep that momentum going. I agree with you about Easy Stride. I've got him in there. The one thing is he's just not the winning type. He's consistent, just not exactly the winning type.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt about it. What are the losses are up to now? 7 in a row. Yeah. So again, that's where the dart landed. But Papa Honor is in the mix for me. certainly, and then number 6 Resident Liberal as well. So yeah, I want some coverage in the spot.
Nice maiden special weight in the 7th, 6 furlongs on the main track for fillies and mares, 3 and up. We talked about first-time starters. Chad Brown has one. A filly by Union Rags, who cost $250,000 at the Keeneland September sale confidence interval.
Yeah, I mean, Chad doesn't start a lot of horses down here, especially first-time starters. And the fact that this one pops up down here to me says, you know what, she's ready to go. She's been at Palmettos for a while now, and she was at Monmouth this summer. And so she's kind of been on a consistent program down here, as you alluded to. They paid $250,000 for her, and there's not a lot in here, right? At least in the afternoon of who's run so far. And I like this post as well. And I think, Shug with the 6 Birdie Howe might need a race because he's typically not a guy that's going to crank him up. And these Chad and Seth Klarman runners they always seem to fire, and Tyler's here. So there's a lot of reason, at least to me, to think that she's going to fire her shot today.
Yeah, I thought the first-time starters were the most intriguing in this race. I did land on the Shug Firster. I was just intrigued by the pedigree. $400,000 yearling. It's taken her a while to get to the races. She's 3 now, much like the Chad runner too. This one has a big pedigree. The dam's been a good producer. Multiple stakes winner, Grade 1 placed horses. Apropos Carve in the family to Sloan Avenue. So thought that she could potentially be interesting. For me, Brian, as far as the ones that had run, Only Kidding was the one that kind of stood out as far as the experience and for Brendan Walsh and the speed she showed last time.
I agree. I've got her in second. You kind of alluded to something. I'm glad you brought it up. The 5 and the 6, both of these, the plan wasn't to debut 2 days before your 4-year-old season. So that, take note of that. And it's another reason why I put Only Kidding. I split them, those good Churchill maiden races that she comes out of. She was kind of a wake up third last time, showing more speed. So I think she's a player in here, especially if she catches a flyer at the start, cutting back with Luis Saez.
We go on to the 8th race, main track, 6.5 furlongs sprinting, and this allowance optional claiming for the 2-year-old fillies. I know we both prefer 5, 6, 7. Tell me about 21 Short, who I was impressed with how well she ran off the barn switch last time.
Yeah, I really agree. I mean, she was chasing and pressing, and she stuck around late. Not only did she stick around, she kind of re-rallied late to get second, well clear of third. And you mentioned the barn change from Georgina Baxter to Juan Avila, and lightly raced with plenty of upside. And either of those 2 races, quite frankly, probably work against this group. The 4 is out now, and she was a fringe player. So I think 21 Short, at least for me, with the upside off such a positive race, facing winners for the first time too. So I went with her and like you said, the 3 outside runners to me look to be the ones too.
Yeah, I'm going to give another chance to Blame It on Rose. Junior Alvarado climbing aboard for Bob Hess Jr. She's a 2-time winner. She seemed to be really intriguing coming into that last race, and I thought she disappointed in the same field versus 21 Short. But giving her another chance in here, I just think that she has some talent, and maybe it was a first time in Florida type of race and needed some time to adapt. Leviosa, too, looked intriguing with some tactical speed.
I mean, Bob's thrown a lot. I'd blame it on Rose. Turf sprinting, turf routing. Then she kind of gets run off her feet a little bit on the return last time. So I agree with you. She could be sharper. And then Leviosa, off the powerful maiden claiming win last time, steps up, but she steps up in really, really good form. Off a dominant win with Saez for Safi.
Race 9 on the turf, feature race of the day, going a mile, allowance optional claiming for fillies and mares 3 and up, is Adorable Aida. You said your long shot. Let's hear it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a toughie, but you look at her turf races. I think they're first of all, they're better than her Tapeta races. That's for sure. And then look at her last 2 turf races. She's been in the parking lot. She's been in the 10 post, and then she's been 9 of 9 on the Tapeta. Excuse me, that was a Tapeta race, but the last turf race, I thought she ran huge on a very, very, in the claiming crown race, a very, very tough set of circumstances when she was never really able to get any sort of position. Well, now it's completely the opposite today. Paco jumps aboard too. Her better turf races play with a group like this, and I not to speak for you, but I'm pretty sure there's no standout in this race, so I'd like some value too.
Yeah, I actually had her in fourth. I thought that she was a bit intriguing. I agree, and I kind of mentioned this when going through the Rainbow Six. I landed on TikTok Famous, who, again, I really don't think that she is even necessarily the best horse in the race. I just wanted somebody who could potentially sit a good trip. I think we're going to see Senseless Drama go. She's the main speed. She's just not really a winning type either. TikTok Famous has the ability to be tactical. She was good in Stakes Company, 2 and 3 back, both on turf and synthetic. Stunning Princess, we saw try Stakes Company this weekend for Danny Gargantoon, actually ran really well against some nice horses. So I thought that we could potentially see her sit a good trip. For me, the wild card is Applecross. I'm not sure what you thought about her. First time for Bill Mott. She was actually purchased at the Keeneland November breeding stock sale for $60,000, and it's been a while since she's won. So you kind of feel like these types of horses are either a big success or maybe not, and you wonder what you're going to get from her today.
Yeah, and where's she been, and
Yeah.
how's she going to get up going a mile on this turf course with that running style? And I think that's another reason why you like TikTok Famous, who I have in my mix too, because she's going to get first run. She's going to sit the trip off the speed, and overall, Applecross, you could make an argument that she's probably the best horse in here, but off the long layoff with a real lack of early speed, it's going to be tough for her. Maybe this is a start to what Bill hopes is a pretty decent 5-year-old campaign with some bigger spots too. I've got her in fourth and I'm using her on my late pick 5, but I think a win is a reach today with all that's kind of going against her.
We wrap up the day on the Tapeta Nice Maiden special weight. Some big barns we mentioned a couple times already. We're going about a mile and a 16th for 2-year-old fillies. Chad Brown, Graham Motion in the mix. I preferred slightly Imbeatus, who I had liked a bit first time out at Aqueduct, and we'll see how she handles the Tapeta second time out, but thought she had a good race first time out that she could build on.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think it's, there's significant Graham runs here,
Yeah.
There's other spots for this filly, and she really showed. Graham's not a guy that's going to win first out typically a lot, but she showed something there. They bet her a little bit. She was 12-1. She wasn't completely dead on the board that day. She ran on. She passed a bunch of horses, and that's kind of, now he reaches for Paco. That's a great sign. And this running style is kind of what we tend to lean towards on the Tapeta. Stamina and ability to pass horses in the lane, and you get it with Imbeatus.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, you sounded a lot better with it than I did.
We'll see. I'm sure Pete will know. Then you have Beachfront Bid, second time out for Chad Brown. She was second in that debut at Aqueduct as well. It seemed like these two made sense in the nightcap.
Yeah, I agree. Slow race, she's going to have to improve, but with Chad, she will for sure. And I agree. Shug's down there on the inside with the one Crackle Candy with a slew of works. Wouldn't surprise me if she can run a little bit, but I'm in full agreement with you. Let's go with the experienced runners.
Well, that's the 10 race card on this Wednesday afternoon. We appreciate you tuning in for Gulfstream today. Brian and I will be giving you some hopefully useful information throughout the afternoon, and we will send it over to track announcer Pete Aiello for scratches and changes.
Pegasus, the divine winged horse that flew with heroes mounted for glory. Here begins our story of legendary times, the rarefied air when the stakes are high. Like the moment when you feel the vibe, the thunder and the lightning on the track, the energy in the stands, like music moving through your soul, shaking your hips, making you dance. The stars come out in the magic city, for Pegasus they stay, dressed in designers' newest finds, wishing all days could be like this. A moment in the sun, where everything is divine. Racing, vibe, fashion, entertainment. Arrogant, gun runner, city of light, mucho gusto, and Knicks go. Pharrell Williams at the finish line. Lenny Kravitz rocks the runway. Snoop Dogg making it rain. A Jennifer Lopez family affair. Vin Diesel found out that cars aren't the only thing that are fast and furious. This runway on the rail.